Hi, Dr. Paul Haider here. You know, anger is an interesting thing. I know a person who had a terrible life with a husband that, kind of ran off and got in trouble and caused all kinds of problems and created havoc, and it was just terrible. And yet she stuck with this person, and the kids felt terrible, and there was so many complications, and she ended up with amazing amount of anger. And over the years, it's like 30 some years later, and she still wants to go sock him in the face, you know. That's an amazing amount of anger. It's interesting that we now know that when we have anger, any kind of those negative emotions, that we call them negative, the DNA actually contracts together. And when we have positive emotions, anything, love, bliss, caring, compassion, everything elongates and becomes longer. And the DNA unwinds and relaxes. And it's kind of like, ever seen people using a press to make wine? You take a grape, and you squash it. Wine grapes have seeds also, and you squash it, and the pulp and the seeds come out. And if you squash the DNA, you also get a lot of stuff you don't want. You get the pits, It makes the DNA change. It squashes that DNA. And you get some of the pits of life because disease starts to happen. It's really important, when we get into different cultures, into Christianity and also Buddhism, they come down to the same place. Very interesting. And in the Buddhist culture, you look at compassion. Compassion that, has that warm feeling of, oh, I can understand and feel for you and that type of thing. But the biggest part of compassion is true acceptance. Acceptance for what is, and no judgment about any of that. Now, how many of us can do that? Just accept, my life was terrible then, and that's just the way things were. It was just the way things were, and let go. It's kind of like seeing a dog that was hit on the side of the road and you go, ah, that was terrible. And you can see your DNA contracting because you're making a big judgment about this, and you go into this place of, ah. Or you can go into this place of, wow, I see that. I send a prayer to that dog that he may go on, his energy moves on to another place. And you can actually see your DNA relaxing. Well, things happen in our lives. What about becoming non-judgmental and letting go of the ego about the whole thing? Allowing ourselves just to say, that happened. That's all right. I let go of that now. I let go of it all. And eventually, with people, we have to get to the place of forgive, forget, and let go and move on. Forgive, forget, and move on. Forgive, forget, move on. Basically, we go back to that same place of non-judgment, which is the basis, the balance point for all compassion. And we create this peace inside of our heart. Sometimes anger is very difficult to get rid of, and sometimes you have to work from the mind to the body, and sometimes from the body to the mind. And if you're having a hard time letting go with some anger, sometimes you need to do some yoga, and sometimes it will relax your body to the point where you can relax your mind. And that's all important. And sometimes we have to work from the mind, and we can relax the mind to the point where we can relax the body, and then we can forgive. forget, and move on. Either way, it doesn't really matter. It's just getting there. And when you get there, you're doing yourself a service because you're allowing your DNA to lengthen out and be relaxed and calm and peaceful. And that's what we all deserve. That's what we all need. And it's also about seeing life from a different perspective instead of always going into emotions about everything. It's about being from that compassionate balance point. The compassionate balance point, not being in judgment one way or the other. But, I see that. And it doesn't mean you don't take action. You know, action is non-judgmental. You see an injustice happening and I accept that, I see that. Now I'm going out to make a change, to do something about that, but there is no, emotion attached to it. There might be some passion that, I want to see this happen, but there's no anger or there's no, anything attached to it. And allowing yourself to do the action and still be in the balance point of compassion. So allow yourself to heal that anger. Allow yourself to find that balance point within yourself. And you can really change your life in a great way. And you deserve it. I love you.